hell? Today, I'm finding out whether or not I can create a competitive amp sim using only stock plugins in Cubase and an IR loader because Cubase doesn't come with one. But still, now I'm putting my knowledge to the test today and seeing if I really can recreate an amp using a similar chain that would be on an amp head itself. Then I'm running it into a cab IR and I'm gonna see if it is even possible to do this. I've never done this before, so let's just jump in and see if this is possible. This is the part that I am working with for this guitar tone. So right now, I am literally using the tone in Nolly's Archetype by Neuro DSP. That is what I'm using currently. So I've set a plugin chain that I think recreates at least how I see an amp head. And I'll go through this one at a time. So this Studio EQ here, I'm using it simply as a preamp. So here's my gain that I can just move up and down. That's what I want to use it for. Then next I'm going to go into the distortion section. So this is essentially pushing that gain into the distortion itself. Yeah, I've never even used this plugin before, so that's going to be fun to figure out. Next, I'm going into the EQ section of a guitar amp. I was thinking about how granular I want this EQ to be because obviously you don't have a parametric EQ on a guitar amp. So I think I'm going to do a 4-knob setup. I think I'm going to do a bass, a low mid, a high mid, and a treble. Now, with my limited knowledge in guitar amps, I'm pretty certain that the bass and treble are just roll off high pass and low pass curves. And the mid knobs, I'm pretty certain that they are just like peaks that can be boosted or cut, and they're preset per amplifier. So I'm going to go with the 4-knob setup just because I don't know what to expect. I'm going to set these cuts to 12 and I'm going to give it just a little bit of Q boost for like a little bit more of that realistic. You hear the bass turn up and down on its sweep. Next is going to be the resonance section. So just like you would have like a low resonance knob, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before, but it's going to be a little more extreme, kind of like a Pultec EQ. After that is just a simple master output. And then that is feeding to NAD IR for my impulse response. I have it just on this side. This is Bogren Digital's low tuned IR pack. Let me know this in the comments. Do you think, without skipping the end of the video, this is going to sound terrible? Or do you think this is going to blow your mind? Let me know in the comments. I'm just going to get straight into this. Here we go. That distortion actually sounds pretty good going through the IR. Like it's muddy, but it works. Right here, I'm just giving it a boost. I'm pushing it by like 9 dB. Yeah, it says it's clipping through this plugin. It's fine. I'm even tempted to add a second distortion, like if I had a screamer pedal, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it just a regular amp and cab scenario. restricted like this in this EQ. Like I'm trying to not use high Q peaks or anything like that. I'm trying to use very broad movements. Definitely difficult for my skill set right now, just because my brain can't tell how it wants it to sound. And I think that's just a skill gap thing, but oh well. So far I'm gonna rock with that. And then I'm gonna move on and see where I end up after this. Cause next is the low resonance control. Who doesn't like a ton of low end? Okay, and then my master output. Okay, so far this tone is super dark. I'm gonna try to go back up to the EQ section and see if it can be fixed. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm mimicking what a real amp would kind of be. And if you were mixing, you would just add an EQ after everything, or this is actually a terrible representation of what an amp would sound like. I think I have a way to fix that, but I will do that in just a moment. Let's fix this high end, or at least try to. Yes, there's a lot of low end, but like I said, this is supposed to be just the amp head. I like this. I like this a lot. So here's how I'm going to compare this. I'm going to move these plugins together like this, but I'm going to reinstate the actual amp sim I was using. I'm turning off the cab, I'm turning off the EQ, and I'm turning off the effects. So like it should be just the way the amp sim is supposed to sound. And I'm going to turn off everything but the cab sim. Okay, in comparison, that's way brighter. So that tells me, let's go back to the EQ section of the amp and let's like go way more extreme than I am, because I'm babying this thing. Okay, now let's go back to the archetype. There is so much more body to this chain than the sim itself. I know this sim is doing so much more than my little chain here. I'm like speechless. That was easy. Like nothing was difficult about making this chain. I literally just went through what I thought an amp head would have on it. there was nothing, like literally the IR is doing all the work. And in between the two, the Nolly one sounds better, but it's also doing things that like I'm not doing in this chain. I'm not using any kind of compression at all at any stage other than the distortion itself. So I'm not mimicking like a transistor on the master output of an amp head that would have like a compression style limitation to it. I'm not doing that. And yet this sounds like an amp sim. It sounds like I loaded one into this. This is kind of blowing my mind. I would literally just grab an EQ at this point and EQ this guitar into the song. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already. It does take quite a while to put even simple videos like this together, so I appreciate your support. Back to this shit. What the hell? What the hell? I know this looks like a big ass chain. I know that, but this is freaking sweet. All right, so I'm gonna use this studio EQ that I'm using to boost into everything. I'm actually gonna tweak the DI a tad with it. This literally sounds like my pod. What? Admittedly, there's a lot of mid-range still. I guess my ears just aren't there today where it needs to hear it. Huh. If you have Cubase, screenshot this because this is the chain I just made. I mean, this is my input section. I tweaked my DI a tiny bit for the mix context. This is my distortion. This is the EQ with no more than 4 bands. I have my resonance knob here, and then this is the master output, and that just feeds an IR. What's blowing my mind the most is that I expected this to sound terrible. I expected this to not work. I didn't expect to just boost the distortion and it immediately sound like an amplifier. Here's some bonus stuff. 2 things. A Tube Screamer style input, and then I'm going to create a transformer emulation, I guess. You know what? This is a free plugin, so we're gonna use it. Got a R in there, like a R. It wasn't really much different, but it did tighten up the low end. Now the transformer thing, I'm gonna do this with a multi-band compressor. I'm gonna see what I can do with this. Definitely more tamed. Although I'm going kind of crazy on the gain reduction. So let me change that to like -20 instead of -30. And basically all I'm doing right now is I'm just taking this multi-band compressor and I'm just setting everything to be the same so that if some frequencies get louder than others, they just get tamed when they go over that threshold, if that makes sense. It's kind of like evening out the sound. What in the world? arguably, that was better sounding than the archetype Nolly. I don't know what to say. Oh my God. What the hell? You know what? I'm saving this chain. Well, I hope you liked the video. I totally didn't expect the outcome of it. I'm never buying an amp sim again for rhythm guitar. Never. The stock plugins. I could have used non-stock bullshit and that would have turned out arguably better. Like and no, my hat doesn't look stupid. Thanks for watching, guys. That was good. Okay.
What did you do? I turned off the wall. No, you didn't. You turned off the whole movie. I must have pressed the wrong button. Well, put it back on. Put the movie back on. Yes, sir.